service is on releasing guilt and shame. And during our retreat in Fregene, Italy, we worked a lot with this area. So, guilt and shame. In a way, these are like plagues for humanity. What is shame? Shame is, when we have poor thinking about ourselves, and we can also have it about others. So it's really taking a look at the weaknesses, but not necessarily in a constructive way. So shame can be pretty detrimental to the spirit if it's maintained. If you're carrying around a lot of shame. Guilt is feeling bad about something that we did. So shame is kind of the inner secret feeling of inadequacy, and then guilt's kind of the active part of it, something that we may believe that we did that caused us to feel bad about our actions, to feel guilty. And we wanted to start off this service by just saying that these feelings of guilt and shame can be very isolating. When we have these things that we carry around with us and we're ashamed or we feel shame, so nobody, you don't want to tell anybody, you don't want to admit it, you don't want to, it's like this secret burden that's carried around with you, thinking, oh my gosh, who am I? What kind of person am I? I'm a terrible person. And those are the kind of things that people do not like to share, obviously, because it is like an image thing. You don't want people to know that you're a terrible person. You think you're a terrible person. So this shame it's like a secret killer in a way. We won't say killer, but it's definitely something that's kept under wraps. It's kept secret. It's kept, it's in a way, it's as an entity, it's left alone in a way to grow and to basically eat away at an individual, and just it can become very dominant in the life. So, and then guilt, is that it's associated with like, oh, I did that, I'm ashamed of it, and I feel bad, I feel guilty. And sometimes it's a little bit easier for people to admit to guilt, admit that they did something wrong, or admit to themselves like, I did, something that I'm not proud of, and I can ask for forgiveness and do some forgiveness work. I'll get over it and I won't do it again, kind of. But that shame can be so private with the individual. So one of the most important things that we were to share is you are not alone. No one is ever alone in this. Every being who has these, people have their different things that they're ashamed of or guilt. But it can be so isolating, and that is an illusion. We are not alone. And if you've done it or you feel ashamed of something, there's somebody else out there on this planet that has that shame too. We are not, and maybe it might not be exactly the same, but it's, related, and they could relate to you. They can talk to, and we're not saying to go out and find people like, hey, do you have the same issues as me? But energetically and spiritually, we need to understand that we should not feel alone. We're not the only one who is, thinks that we're a terrible person because of something that we did, or something that we thought, or for whatever you feel the shame for. And that isolation is that separateness from God. It's that, taking you away from God. So first things first with guilt and shame is to realize that we are all together in this planet, in this existence, in this creation. We are all together. We're all one. And if any person or being finds themselves going into that isolation and just feeling like they're a terrible person, or how could I have done that, or beating ourselves up, first things first is realize that everything exists under the sun, and there are tools to help you deal with this. Beings. If you don't want to go to a physical person, there's energetic beings here to help us release these feelings and heal. And so many tools. So many tools that we can use. One of the best tools that we can use is the Ho'oponopono. So I love you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. And then there's a fourth line that was introduced, and it's I forgives myself. And then thank you. So the four kind of traditional lines of the Ho'oponopono, but then that fifth line adds the self-forgiveness. Because in order for us to release the shame and the guilt, we need to first accept it for what it is, to come out of isolation, come out of this poor me mentality of nobody understands me, yes, we are all unique, beautiful beings here to express an individual, purpose. But at the same time, we're not thrown in here by ourselves. And, your special recipe for healing might be a little bit different than the next person's. But we can glean so much information from these tools. So don't give up hope. Too. That's another thing. Trust God. Trust that God is providing you and providing us and showing us the tools that we need to heal. And this goes for guilt too. So part of the thing with guilt is, we might do something that we feel bad about, and then we can do things like the Ho'oponopono. We can turn it over to our higher power, to God, to trust. and let it go. Completely let it go. And start in, drop down, not down, but drop into the quantum reality and clear the space, clear the reality, and we're already in the now, when we're starting again right now. So we can always be doing that, starting right now, healing, clearing out these old patterns, old habits, or things that we repeat that we don't like. The other thing is trusting God. It's we have to take all of this back to judgment. If we are judging ourselves and saying, oh, I did this, or I thought that, so therefore I'm a bad person, I'm terrible, and I did this, so I'm a terrible person, and that was the worst thing I could have done, and that is simply not true. I mean, if we believe that the Creator is constantly working in us and through us, we have to trust. We have to trust and let go of the judgment. Let go of the judgment and stop judging ourselves. When we judge ourselves, we're judging others. And we're taught, judge not, lest ye be judged. So it's when we start going into that, and it's like pits, because the shame can be so isolating. It's like putting yourself in a prison cell, putting yourself into your own private hell in a way. We have to be the ones that break that. And we're not just doing it for ourselves. We're doing it for everyone that has any similarity, any experience similar to what we're going through. We're healing ourselves. We're healing our lineage. We're healing the planet. We're healing other beings. We're bringing this. That was a lot of the stuff, is that the emotional body on the human being is very large, the second chakra, and it's such a vast area. There's so much subconscious involved. There's all the emotions. It's such a vast area, and we're clearing out this area. And by us, again, choosing to do that, choosing to get the shame, if we're having some shame or some guilt, to, clear it out, take a look at it, forgive it, release the judgment, purify it with love and light, purifying it for ourselves and for everyone that we touch and everyone that is experiencing this. Sending out that love, transmuting it, transmuting darkness into light. And these areas are so protected by us. It's like we're protecting the demon, we're in a way, like we're sheltering it and or hiding it, so that it can't be purified. So it does take courage to get into these areas and look at these, some of maybe our most embarrassing or shameful, secrets, our deep dark, people's deep dark secrets, and to bring them out and really clear them. It takes so much courage, and it's okay. God would not ask us to do it if we didn't have the ability to do it. And ultimately, it's, forgiveness, love, and let it go. You can see it transmuting into light, being transformed. Clearing out the emotional, the second chakra, like clearing it out, sweeping it clean, and letting go. And if it comes back, do it again. Just keep doing it. And love yourself. Love yourself as in your guides and God. Because they're showing it to you for you to take action in the healing. For us to take command. For us to be co-creators in God. This guilt and resentment, guilt and shame, resentment, all these kind of things, they have to be cleared out. They take away our energy from doing our light work. And it takes time. It's a process and they could come back but we got to stay focused on spreading the light. And by transmuting shame and guilt, we are helping. We are helping to spread the light. And judge not. Who are we to judge? We are not the judge. We are light beings experiencing with, God is in us experiencing. We are experiencing. This is part of it. And, these holy beings came here to help us with this transmutation of these negative, feelings and dark forces. So we take command when we find it, when we notice it. We can do the Ho'oponopono. We can add the fifth one with the I forgives myself. Doing self-forgiveness, forgiving others, letting it go, seeing it transmuted into light. And so we're not alone. We have angels, holy beings. There's even physical, groups out there that can help. Ministers, counselors, teachers, just a wealth of resources for us so that we don't isolate ourselves in these negative emotions. Like, we are so gifted. And it takes courage. So, God bless you so much. And it's very good time for healing, as always. So please join us